Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Rando Rob. On this week's show, you can probably guess what you're going to see. Because he's standing right here. Next week is Halloween, and Halloween is probably my favorite holiday of all the holidays. It's hard, not to go with Christmas, especially now that I have kids. And when I say now that I have kids, my kids are 15 and 18. So I've had kids for a while, but Christmas is obviously a great time of year, and it's fun to celebrate, and it's fun to, when you're younger, it's fun to get gifts, and when you get a little bit older, it's fun to give gifts and see the enjoyment and stuff that your kids get. But Halloween for me, man, has always been just this intersection of all these things that I love. I love horror movies. I love special effects. I love masks. I love fake blood. I love haunted houses. I love unsolved mysteries. If you haven't watched the new, there's a new season. I don't know what they're calling it season. It's a half season, whatever, but another 6 episodes of Unsolved Mysteries they released on Netflix this week. Man, when I was a kid, I had all these books about Bigfoot and UFOs and the Loch Ness Monster and all these things. The Bermuda Triangle. I did a book report about the Bermuda Triangle in first grade. I was just so into that stuff. And Halloween kind of ties into all those things, and I have never lost that just something, man. When I see a cool, Halloween type decoration or whatever, I've got a shelf over there with a bunch of, goofy skeleton fish, a little skull and some other stuff. It's just Halloween kind of stuff. I think I showed this guy. I think my wife actually found this and got this for me as this little skeleton guy, and he's supposed to be a bobblehead. Like there is a spring in there, his head moves, but it's so tight it doesn't really it just kind of goes doink. It doesn't bobble very good. But I just always have little things like that around. In fact, my sister-in-law is having a garage sale this weekend, and my wife went over to help her, and she came back and she said, "Hey, I found you this guy, and his name is Flavel or Flaville or whatever." I'm going to show it to you real quick. I just popped the mic here. This is Flavel, but as you can see, Flavel's head comes off, and there's a big thing of brain, and I think there's some, I think part of the brain comes out too. But as now I try to figure out how this goes back together. But this is my sister-in-law is a nurse, and every now and then they get little things like this that they're getting rid of or whatever. But the drug, this is for some sort of drug, and if you look down there, it's let me see if I can line this up here. It's called E-Lavel or whatever, but when my wife looked at it, she thought the first E was a F, and she thought it was Flavel. So this guy's new name is Flavel. So I like it because it kind of looks like a bust. It kind of looks like the bust like that was in Batman or something, It doesn't look like a dude. And I'm going to put some googly eyes on it. I think he needs some googly eyes. But that's kind of my decorating motif, if you will, kind of goofy, silly, haunted house type stuff. And so several years ago, gosh, it's probably been 7 or 8 years ago. It's probably been 8 years now. There was a friend of mine, Guy Hutchinson, who I met online. He does a podcast called Drunk on Disney, but he did a podcast with another guy that I knew. It was called the Adventure Club Podcast. And they had me on as a guest several times, and I really hit it off with Guy Hutchinson. Guy Hutchinson is a friend of mine now, and we talk on the phone. We've only met once, but we would like to meet more often. But anyway, another one of his listeners owned a skeleton and would take pictures and post them online of her with this skeleton. And her skeleton's name was Boney T, which I thought was just hilarious. I was like, not only does she have a skeleton, but it has a funny name, and it's kind of a part of her life. It's not just this decoration. It's almost like when people go on vacation and they take an action figure with them or something to take pictures and stuff. It's kind of like that. It was her friend with Boney T, and so that was really the person who inspired me to get a skeleton. And I didn't want a goofy, although I love them, a plastic Halloween type skeleton. I wanted one that would last. And so I went online to a medical supply company that sells skeletons, for like ones that would be in a classroom that are, it actually says that it's, the molds come from an actual skeleton, so it's anatomically like to the right proportion. Everything. Right now he's got a luchador wrestling mask on, and I'm going to show you some pictures here very shortly of some of the different iterations that my skeleton has gone through. But when we got him, I knew he needed a name. I loved that that person had not just a skeleton, but, it had a name and a personality. Boney T. I really liked that. And so I came up, this was around Christmas time, I think, that I bought it. And there were all these commercials from McDonald's about the Mick Rib. And I thought, ribs. His name is Mick. Mick Rib. And so that was how Mick Rib was born. And so, again, you can see has all the right joints. He has all the articulation of a regular person. A lot of times I will stick his thumb in one of his ribs like that so he could kind of stand in a more natural pose there. And as you will see here very shortly, as I go through some pictures real quick, that he's always got a different hat or a mask or something on. And so anyway, I've got pulled out about, I think, 12 pictures from my digital photo collection. And the first one here is I came home from work one day and had found this handwritten note from my daughter. It says, "Dad, your skeleton guy is here in a box on the front porch." Now, I had told everybody that I had ordered a skeleton and that he would be coming. And so this was the note that I found when I came home from work that day. This is Mick Rib's head that came in a box inside the big box. It was the only part that I didn't really have to assemble. The jaw and everything was already pre-assembled. And you just have to stick it on top of the top of the spine. There's a little hole, and he fits right on there. So this is the proverbial joke, the old song, "The knee bone connects to the leg bone," or whatever. I literally had to assemble a skeleton. There are these little cotter pins that you put into place, and they allow the skeleton to move just like a human being is able to move. The hips are, the little hip socket there is articulated, and every single part had to be assembled. So it took a while, and I did get some help from my daughter at the time. Now, my daughter now is 15, so that's kind of what I was going by to. Actually, the year is right there in the file name, 2014. And it's January 24th. So that would make sense about the Mick Rib coming back, every year around Christmas time. So this was Mick Rib after he was assembled, and I can tell you that a skull in general looks pretty small on top of a big skeleton, and so right away I started putting hats on him. That was an Irish type hat, but this was that same day that it was assembled. But he has worn many different outfits and been posed in many places around the house throughout the years. And it's not just I should say that he came with a, let me go back. If you can see that white pole that's going down there, the white pole attaches to the backside of his spine, the bottom part of the spine. So, and then so it's on wheels. The bottom part of the support is on caster, so you can roll him around and stuff. But so his legs just kind of hang loose, if that makes sense. They don't touch the ground. So anyway, this was the first, I think, place that Mick Rib ended up living for a while. This was at my last house, and there was what we called the nook upstairs. It was a area that was about, it wasn't 6 feet deep. Maybe it was 4 foot deep, and it was 2 or 3 of those columns wide, and it was absolutely useless. And there was nothing that you could put up there. I mean, you could put a couch if you wanted to go up there and sit and look down over my living room. That was kind of weird. I put that coffee table on the left and a TV, and I put, it was an old CRT television, and I put an Atari 2600 and an NES, and literally nobody ever played them. We lived there for 7 years. I don't think they ever got turned on. Then I had 4 or 5 guitars at the time. I still have the guitars, and we decided that would be a good place to hang the guitar. So my wife painted that back wall. That color is actually called tomato red, and we hung those guitars up there. But that seemed like a good place to have Mick Rib, so we just took Mick Rib there, and I had a collection of different Star Wars helmets, and Mick Rib has worn all the helmets throughout the years. There's a Stormtrooper helmet. I have a Boba Fett helmet he has worn. I have a C-3PO rubber mask that he wore for a little while, but let's see. Okay, so what's funny is, let me go back here. The date on these pictures when we were assembling it is 2014, January 24th, according to the file date. This is January 25th. So this was the day after I owned him. This is where Mick Rib went for a while. This was a little bit later. This was the following month, it looks like. And you can see the guitars hanging on the wall there, but those guitars are way too heavy for Mick Rib. And so, as you can see here, we threw a guitar strap on a Guitar Hero guitar. And so that's what he was holding. We kind of posed him like that and found that wig. That's one good thing, there a lot of times at garage sales or places like that, maybe even a thrift store, you might see a wig and you would think, that is so gross, I would never put that on my head. But skeletons don't complain. And you can just buy just about any gross thing and put it on a skeleton, and they seem to love it. He did not utter a peep. So we got him that little rockin' wig and the guitar, and he stood up there. You can see how wide that area is up there. I mean, it's absolutely, we put those bean bags there. I just never did find a good use for that little nook up there. This was in my Star Wars room at the last house, and for some reason, one of the kids, I believe it was Morgan, found out a pattern, or discovered a pattern where you could cut up paper and make top hats. And so she made a couple of top hats for Mick Rib. So this was a orange top hat that he wore. The top hat I don't think it lasted very long. They weren't very sturdy. But he wore this top hat for a while. And then she made him a purple top hat. That is hey, you know what? There's 2 fun things here. First of all, this is I think I left this on where we could see my pointer. This is a part of my carded Star Wars collection action figures. I'm going to zoom in on this just a little bit. So when the Power of the Force action figures came out, I went crazy. So this collection, if you can see, these are 5 deep, but they're all different action figures. And so I got every single one of the orange figures and all the duplicates I could find. Or not duplicates, but like variants. And then all the green ones. And then I don't know if you could, you can't even see them in this, but I got all the blue ones, which were the next movie. There's the red ones down there. There's the episode 1. I mean, I really went crazy with the action figures. And I still have them all. They're all stored away in tubs right now. I didn't not open them because of the value. I didn't open them because I like the way they look sealed like that. But there was just no way to display them all without stacking them. So again, you can see this was the figure wall, and imagine 5 times that. But over on the left here, and this has nothing to do with Mick Rib, but this was some of my toy shelves that I had set up, and so you can see I have a complete Death Star, but here's an extra trash compactor. Here's some bobbleheads I had, some random. These are actually Advanced Dungeons and Dragons action figures, vintage figures. These are zombies. These are Diener. These are old McDonald's toys from the 80s that I had as a kid, and then I decided to go through eBay and spend a lot of money getting all the variants and stuff. And that's the shelf too, and the shelf, and there's some extra ones here. But what caught my eye that made me want to zoom in here is there's the leprechaun from the last episode of Rando Rob. So this is where the leprechaun was living for quite a while. There's a lot of things on those things. Boy, Rando Rob, we could be doing Rando Rob for many, many years as I start pulling these toys out. Look at all that stuff. I don't want to give everything away. There's more Star Wars stuff up there. So anyway, there was that was the top hats that Morgan made for him. This particular display did not last long. This was you can see on the date here, this is 12/22, a few days before Christmas. And I thought it would be funny to put a Santa style hat on Mick Rib and put him in the front window. But the first time my wife pulled up to the house and said, "It looks like Santa Claus is dead and he's trapped in our attic," and I went, "Yeah, that's fair." So I took this one down pretty quick. You can see down here at the bottom, this is the you can see where the stand and how it attaches, and that supports the weight for all of Mick Rib. Now this is a different part of the Star Wars room, and I don't know why there's extension cords running back there. I don't know what I was doing, but I went to a garage sale one time, and I was looking around, and it was this old man, and he had I was just kind of looking around, and it was one of those where he had stuff in his garage, but it wasn't priced, and it was hard to tell like how much stuff was or really what was for sale, And I saw this gas mask, and I picked it up, and I was like, "Hey, how much is this gas mask?" And he goes, "Oh, that's really not for sale." And I was like, "Oh man," And he goes, "Well, why do you want it?" And I said, "Well," I'll be totally honest with you. I have this skeleton, medical skeleton at home, and his name is Mick Rib, and I dress him up around my house sometimes, and I thought I'd put this gas mask on him, and I thought it looked pretty cool." And he goes, "All right, you can have it." I don't know what the wrong answer was, and I can't believe that was the right answer, but somehow that was the right answer. And so he gave it to me, and that's where I got this gas mask from. The gas mask does not fit on his head very well, and so it often falls down and stuff. So this was not, I didn't have this for too long, but yeah, this is a cool thing. I mean, I still have the gas mask. I just don't have it on Mick Rib. And then finally I went to, I don't know where we were sometime, but this was right around the time that video of the lady with the Chewbacca yell went viral, and we found one of these masks, and I ended up with one. You can see more of the Star Wars collection there in the back. And anyway, so we got the Chewbacca mask, and that went on Mick Rib for a while. So we tried to, dress him up appropriately wherever he's going to be in the house or whatnot. So, a few years ago, we took a cruise to Cozumel, and we went to Cozumel because we set a goal for our kids that what we said originally was before they moved out, we wanted them to have visited all 50 states. And Morgan had actually both of our kids, Morgan was 10 by the time we got to our 50th state, and Mason was 13. We did a lot of road trips. I mean, we specifically set out to meet that goal. And Alaska and Hawaii were the last two, and we actually did cruises to get to those two. So we had a lot of great adventures. But once we had done those, we thought, well, we really enjoyed going on a cruise, and so we can really only afford to go on a cruise like every other year. Like we have to sign up and then make payments for like 2 years, to be able to afford it. But we decided to go to Cozumel, and so we went to Cozumel. We went to the Yucatan Island. I mean, we just did all this Yucatan Peninsula. We went to we saw a lot of really amazing things. We try to make our trips educational as well as entertaining, for the kids. And so we had a great time. And while we were there, we were walking on the long deck. If you've never been on a cruise, especially one that goes to other countries, I have read that the first, I think, mile is usually also owned by the cruise industry. And so what they do is that's what they pack it with shops that are full of souvenirs and things like that. So when you get off, and a lot of people just go to that area, that little 1 mile area, and, to do their souvenir shopping, and it's all owned by the cruise industry. And so, it was the same. It was similar in Cozumel. I mean, when you got off and you went down, there was just rows and rows and rows of shops, and that's where when people come back from vacation, they're like, "Oh, I got these maracas, or a giant sombrero, or a marionette," all these things. That's where they got them. They got them in that little mile strip area. And there was a guy, and he was like, "Hey," he was yelling at me. He was like, "Hey, you want a marionette?" I was like, "I don't. What am I going to do? I'm in my mid-40s. I don't need a puppet, Although I say that with disdain, and then I'm like, I'm sure I have puppets in this room. I just don't need one of those marionettes that's going to fall apart, before we get home. And he was like, "Hey, how about these masks?" And I looked, and he had all these luchador masks. And what did not help the situation was we had just left this place that was trying to sell us bottles of Mexican liquor, and we had gone through a taste testing thing, and I had done so many shots of liquor that I was feeling no pain in Cozumel, and I was like, "Give me that mask." And so I bought this stupid luchador mask, and I'm not gonna put it on. I'm just taking it off so you can see Mick Rib's head here, but but anyway, so I bought this mask and put it on. And it's funny because, I mean, I'm a big guy anyway, but it was like, it just seemed like they were all very small people. And I felt like a very large, powerful wrestler as I was walking down, and I was like, "Ooh," just yelling and stuff. And everybody was laughing, and it was a really fun time. But so that was one of my souvenirs from Cozumel. And so, it's the week of Halloween, and Mick Rib needs his costume, so perhaps he will be a luchador this year. I don't know. I really haven't been going to thrift stores. I love thrift stores. I love antique malls. I love all that stuff, and I just haven't been doing it this year. I mean, we have gone to thrift stores, but not like we used to. I mean, I used to go every weekend or every other weekend or during the week sometimes, and we just haven't been going. And not only are we not going, but a lot of people aren't donating stuff. So when you go, it's the same stuff there all the time, But, in years past, we have gone, and I've looked for, silly costumes like a shirt or a hat or something, and got it for old Mick Rib. So Mick Rib may have to, and his buddy Flavel, say hi to everybody, Flavel. Hello. Flavel may have to go without a costume this year, but it'll be all right. But I'll definitely have him scooted over in front of the window blinds for Halloween, and with the luchador mask or something else. So anyway, I hope you guys have fun this week on Rando Rob. I hope I think I can't help but think back. I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this on Patreon, that it's just a time where every single thing I write, every single thing that I talk about COVID comes up in the conversation, and if you don't mention COVID, it's like you're intentionally avoiding it. I could say, well, we're not going to do our normal Halloween stuff this year. Well, people know what you mean. They mean that you're not doing Halloween, you're not doing trick-or-treating because COVID. And so I just hate it, and I really hate it for there was that age of, I don't know, from when I was 5, maybe 6, until I was 13, 14. I think 15 was the last year. 14 or 15 is the last year that I went trick-or-treating. I was a little too old. But there's just that time that you don't get those years back, and this is just a year that won't be the same for kids, and I hate it for them. I don't know if you have plans with you or your kids or whatever for Halloween, but stay safe, do what you can, and enjoy it the best way that you can. And I will talk to you all throughout the week and see you guys next week. Thank you so much for your support. I always appreciate it, and I will be talking to you soon.